of mine. When I was in my engineering, I passed out at 2009. We didn't have such a hi-fi campuses. I still remember I was an ICSE student. Probably in third or fourth standard, we used to start learning what RT90, LT90, RT120, LT logo, and then we came to basics. Then we started all doing that. The third standard is when I started using computer, and till now I haven't left it out. So trust me, I just get excited with technology, whatever it is, at any given point of time, because that is what is bringing the barriers down. And that is what is connecting people. How many of you remember, just tell me one thing, is television a boon or a ban करके कभी ऐसे लिखा है तुम लोगों ने? Basics essay says that you have to write the pros and cons and then summarize what is your thought. Technology is always the same. The way you use it, it is what it gives you. We in the entire IT industry, we follow only one principle, only simple one principle. That is garbage in, garbage out. आप जो भी सिस्टम को फीड करते हो वही आपको सिस्टम वापस देता है. आपका डेटा अगर सही नहीं जाएगा सिस्टम के अंदर तो आप जो भी रिपोर्ट एग्जीक्यूट करोगे, and whatever the reports you execute, you will get the same data, right? So that is the underlying principle, principle for the entire IT industry. आप चाहे Oracle यूज करो, SAP यूज करो, आप चाहे PowerPoint यूज करो, या फिर आप Power BI क्यों ना लो, whatever you feed is what you get, and that is what our proverb says: whatever you sow is what you reap, right? Can you tell me what do you mean by retail? Anyone?
It's a selling of goods in the shop and public.
See, what we call retail is, it's a consumer connect. You can sell goods or you can sell services, it doesn't matter. So the tech medium is nothing but your Amazon, which is connecting both of you. You have this word say, you are a Nokia connecting people. This is what it is. Nokia was a hardware, but here Amazon and all is a software. So see, just imagine in last 23 years from 2000 when the Y2K bubble came in till now, everything has changed. आपका phones भी तो change हो जाता है. अभी तो jokes आने लगे, kidney sale करो iPhone 15. But having said that, please do not do that way if you are intending to. At the end, if the technology is there and if you don't have an escalator, what will you do? You have to build an escalator and you have to cross feed your technology with an escalator to run automatically, right? Right or wrong? And that's where you call it as IoT, Internet of Things. That's the simplest example. Previously क्या होता था, आपको जाके वहाँ पे switch दबाना पड़ता है. यहाँ पर app में बैठ के अभी switch on करो. That's what IoT is all about. You understand? It's just the way the world looks at and the way the world has been evolving. Nothing else. वही same escalator है, वही same switch दबाना है आपको जाके, पर अभी just आप मोबाइल में करते हो. So it's really important to have each and every field in order for the tech to be at the helm. Just imagine you're watching a content in Netflix or Prime or maybe Z app or maybe a Sony Live or anywhere where it is been stored. See, eventually we cannot classify, but always remember retail is the mother of all the industries. आप चाहे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग देख लो, एवियोनिक्स देख लो, चाहे आप बायोटेक देख लो या कहीं पर भी देख लो, एट द एंड दे हैव टू कम टू अ स्टेज वेयर दे हैव टू कनेक्ट विद द कंज्यूमर. अगर कंज्यूमर खरीदेगा नहीं तो कैसे वो पैसा बनाएगा? सो रिटेल इज ऑलवेज द फोरफ्रंट एंड वन ऑफ द की एलिमेंट्स इन द एंटायर सप्लाई चेन जर्नी, राइट? नाउ माय ओनली सजेशन इज टेक वन vertical. If you want to build something, if you want to do something, always tend to stay in that. Now let's suppose probably some might join TCS, some might join Infosys, some might join Accenture, or some might join brands also. You never know. But eventually, please always remember one thing, that you decide which vertical you want to pursue. I was thrown away into retail. Retail was not my first choice. After joining TCS, I was thrown into retail. I was saying to my cousin that, I don't want to stay in retail. He said, retail is the future. Last 15 years, I've never left retail. I worked in the other side with TCS, IBM, Capgemini, etc. And I've also worked this side with Adidas, SAP, and Globus, etc. And I was a global product owner for Adidas. So which means the entire world of Adidas in applications were reporting to me. So I was 750 people were reporting to me. I was the youngest among the 751. See, this is what I'm saying. Just be very focused on which vertical you want to be in. So that will make your mind, as we say, it's an evolution, right? It will evolve yourself. So where did Amazon start? Not the country. I know which country it is. Where did it start? Warehousing, drop shipping. Where did Flipkart start? Selling books. Now what are they selling? They're selling everything. A fine case study in 2009, 2010 when Flipkart was coming up into the market, right? So they had a biggest problem. And by the way, both the bundles have copied from Amazon. It's not that we have created something unique. Yes, in the market, yes, we have created. But it's not necessary that it's our own idea. It is a copied idea. But doesn't matter. We have billions in our pocket. It's okay. That's what matters at the end. But having said that, come back. So there was a finest case study wherein it says initially will India as a continent, will we be in a position to pay after online, after ordering something? Because we have a issue of trust here. अरे ये मेरे को पैसा देगा कि नहीं? Simple exchange within friends. अरे ये मेरे को 100 रुपया देना है, कब देगा? See, that is the mentality we are in. And of course, it is the way we are. And that is where Flipkart had to do a case study wherein will they get the money from the public? And boom, where are we? हम लोग पहले ही पैसा दे देते हैं, आना है कि नहीं वो बाद में. Yes, but that is where the evolution of trust has come into online. So the most important thing, this trust building also has some anti-activities also, which is called hacking, phishing, spamming, etc. Eventually, as we said, television boon or ban, technology also is a boon or ban. It's something what you have to decide yourself, where you want to be, which side you want to be on. I think you guys have seen Jamtara. Many people would have seen, right? That's a classic case of phishing, spamming. Basically, I think सबको messages आते होंगे. Would you like to have a part-time job? Right? So where is that data going, guys? Market में पूरा आपका कुंडली मालूम है. Everything. How the dynamic industry is, and that's where how dynamic retail industry is also about, and that's our job to ensure that our data does not go south. And we have to guard our walls 24/7 with people like you who has the brains to help and mitigate and foresight what to do and what not to. The reason why I mentioned business meets technology is always remember technology works for business. So you need to have a business model wherein the technology is embedded. So that's where finance always has a highest portfolio compared to technology. And trust me, if you get into any companies, they'll say first finance ka approval aane se hi main technology approval. It happens, classic case with me as well. So unless and until my CFO doesn't give a sign off, I cannot even order anything. I go to management promoters meeting every fortnight. So our promoters are our Raheja group. So our Raheja group owns JW Marriott group of hotels in India. We also owns Oberoi group of hotels in India, of course, worldwide, 48% stake. We own Excite batteries. We own something which we can't even remember. And recently, we also acquired one more company, Health and Glow. It's an acquisition and selling business model. So Globus is their prime retail company, which is. So we do a lot of promoters meetings. They'll say, you know what, we wanted to have a smart mirror concepts in stores and all. But when they see the quotations coming in, they say, yaar, bahut kharcha hai yahan pe. So that's where the CFO comes into the picture. So being a tech always have to, it's not that you're reporting, but you will have a lot of cross connections, right? With various other departments. And in that technology language, we call it as APIs, right? Connections. I have one database, but I need the data from multiple sources. For every marketplace, if I start developing channels, मेरा पूरा workforce उसी में ही focus करेगा अभी. I have lot other things to do. I'll have to ensure my penetration is not been done into my servers. I'll have to ensure my firewalls are rigid, that no one can break in. Hacking has to be stopped. But if I keep my entire workforce in developing channels, then there is not. So that's where the APIs comes into the picture, where it is cross-connected, and it is, you can connect to any damn system in the world, as long as they expose their APIs. So that is also been developed by you guys. It's not only the product fitment also come into the entire technology stack if it is been connected to multiple systems. And that is where retail technology comes into the picture. You don't need these things in manufacturing. Manufacturing क्या बोलता है, मेरे को एक डब्बा दे दो जिसमें मेरा ये raw products है, I mean raw materials are converted to finished products, and I'll sell it to my B2B customers. And then they will send it to the dealers, dealers will send it to stores, stores will connect to the consumers. But for us, we are directly connected to consumers. If I ask you to open a Globus website and shop, everyone in this campus will start doing it. If I ask you to buy a Tata Steel product, will you do it? No, because you will have to go to a store which is connected to a dealer. But here we are digitized it. We are always running behind consumers. Consumers are not coming to us, but always trust this one. Consumers are always disloyal to brands. But brands are always loyal to the customers, right? That's where personalization comes into the picture. कि आपको क्या चाहिए वो हमें मालूम है. हम उसी के on that basis we create the personalization. Let's suppose you like jeans or you like t-shirts. So we'll say, okay, this guy likes only black t-shirts, so push only black. So that's where the hyper personalization comes into the picture. So that's where the entire connectivity. So it's not about how you build a product, it's also about how connections you give to various other departments. Because first you have to start with the stores. So what happens when you purchase? You're connecting with the store departments. So from the store department, it goes to the marketing. From marketing, it comes to IT. And from the same way, the feed goes back to marketing, and from marketing to merchandiser, who will determine कि मेरा consumer को क्या चाहिए, मैं और उसको क्या offer कर सकता हूँ. So the data once you comes in, it being played along with various departments, and that's where once again we as engineers have to ensure the data is not breached, but it's contained in the same walls and it has been utilized properly. It's called data churning. Not too much, but what I'm trying to say is whatever you do, I think vision is very simple. What is your objective? What is that you want to become? Then that's where you have decided that you want to enroll in CSE, right? Engineering करना है, CSE में जाना है, और हमें job मिलना है, TCS में जाना है, उसके बाद career बनाना है, right? So that's where we say a vision. So whenever you are in a brand and a retail technology, it's always what is the vision you guys bring into the picture. And when you work with a technology head hand in hand, we always embrace ideas, because for us, we are only the custodians. We don't own technology in brands. We are only custodians. So we only ensure that whatever the tech which we are building out there stays inside and is not being exposed out. So what is your vision? What is that you want to bring into the table is the biggest thing which we call it as a vision. So the simple is consumers have to feel wow. And what is that? In order to feel wow, what is that you're building? Is the question you need to ask yourself before giving any kind of a idea. Try to give you an example. As I said, I have loads of data, probably around 15 terabytes of data, so which has been stored in an on-premise. And for me, it is very important that to use the data. Use कैसे करूँ? क्या करूँ? What are the KPIs? What are the key performance indicators against which I'm going to use the data about, right? So the question was very simple. कैसा use करना है वो? Always remember, you should only give solution only when the other departments come into the picture and ask you what is that we can do with this data. You should never you cannot take the initiative, but you can take within your teams only. So you need to say what is that I can build with this one. So you can create a roadmap and you have an answer if the department people comes into the picture. So my merchandising team comes in, I say, Mani, data है क्या? मैं पूछता हूँ कितना data चाहिए आप बताओ. Now starts the actual discussion. Okay, what type of data? Do you need a customer data? Do you need a merchandise data? Do you need a pricing data? What is that you want to build? Right? If I have a lot of demand, but I don't have stock, what happens? I cannot fulfill, right? So I need to use the entire consumption history across the period to determine what is my forecast. कि मेरा कितना माल अंदर होना चाहिए warehouse में, so that I can start fulfilling the orders. If I don't have stock, how can I fulfill it? So that is one way of using the data. And other way is, as I said, hyper personalization. Whatever you want based on your behavioral pattern, preferences, whether you like to have a light mood, light t-shirt, or maybe a light faded or a satin cloth or something like that, based on your preferences, we create a cohorts of customers and start sending them personalization messages. अगर shopper stop की तरह मैं भी बोलता हूँ कि shop for 5,000 and get 1,000 rupees off, will it make any sense? How many times will you go? But if I say, well, what is your name, if you don't mind? Tane. If you get a message say, Tane, since you have purchased, let's suppose, gray shirts along the last 3 months, we are giving you an offer. Go ahead, purchase some worth of 2,000 shirts and we give you a 15% flat off. Will you be interested? So that's where the hyper personalization comes into the picture. But do you really think आज के date में वो brands करते हैं? Right. So that's where the data is not being used properly. So that's where the vision comes into the picture. What is that you want to become in the market, and how you would utilize the inherent resources to build what you want to become. Now that is purely dependent on the heads of the departments, how they want to utilize the data. Right? So that's where your vision comes into the picture. Your mission is very simple, guys. If you're in retail, you have to give a wow factor and a consumer experience. That's it. No other thing in technology. You have to bring both the brand and the consumer together. You have to make them stick. And why are you sticking with Amazon today? Or maybe Flipkart or maybe Myntra for that lady? Why are you sticking with that? offers.
Varieties, recommendations.
Right. Variety. How do you know what type of product will you get? Before purchasing, how will you know that what type of product will you get? So basically, you said whatever you said is right, but see, always retrospect yourself first. So before you do anything, take it as a generalized example, even in your career, even in your studies, or even in your thought process, retrospect to yourself. I'm not taking go back for 5 years or 5, 10 years or something. Just at that moment of time, retrospect yourself and just think whether it will add value or not. And what is the value which is going to get. Now, the only thing what the tech companies does, they have to ensure, if it's an Indian tech, they have to ensure that the prospective 1.4 billion people have to be feel happy, and a wow factor has to come into the picture. So that's where they spend millions of dollars just to understand that retrospective, because they cannot just sit in a boardroom and say, "Arey, isko kya chahiye, usko kya chahiye," right? So they have to come into the market, and that's where companies like PwC's, Ernst Young, Strategy, and BCG's, Boston Consulting Group, Bain and Co, McKinsey's, they all give services just like what you said, service to these brands to ensure that they have the right customer connect, and they do surveys and ensure that they get the data what they feel. But unfortunately, these companies do not even go to that level of finding the actual data. It is more about creating a cohort, just like a Venn diagram, right? The construction part. They just do that and they just sell it. It's a simple, pure mathematics game. And that's where even technology comes into the picture. Now, what is your mission is something what you have to decide. See, the mission can be a very broad statement, but it has its own underlying situations where you can take it or where you can drill down. That's what we say, right? Internodes. Nodes and internodes, that's where it comes into the picture. And at last, what is the services? In the services, in the sense, from a tech orientation, what is that you can bring into the table? Be very clear about what is your roadmap, what is your architecture. Just like I think you all know Flutter, right? You all use React.js, Node.js, etc., React. It's too Greek and Latin for me because I'm just trying to learn those things right now. But eventually, whatever is your backend based on, let's suppose if you are writing it on Python, then you say that React would be a better option, right? So if you're writing a script on Java, which is the better option for front end? But eventually, you can actually redo the entire model of the app at any given point of time. So in order to build an MVP or in order to raise the funding, you'll just basic technologies and get an app, working app, wherein you have a certain number of users, and then you'll start scaling it off, right? So that's how it is. So eventually, that is what the services is all about. How you manage your entire implementation, how you manage your entire architecture, how you manage your entire database, whether you want to have hyperlocal services like AWS's or Azure's or maybe GCP's is something which you need to figure out. But I would suggest AWS is more better. It's my personal recommendation. AWS is the best out of all because of the predictive billing, and most importantly, its seamlessness and downtime. It's like always available. If Microsoft, though we are a Microsoft house, the Azure team sees, sir, aap to AWS ko support kar rahe. So any questions here? Just wanted to understand. Just imagine, you walk into the store, you don't have to stand in line, you just have to scan the product, pay and go. How do you feel that? Efficient? Sorry? Convenient? Time saving? Anyone else in the back? Team A, Team B? It's nothing but called endless aisle. So you don't have to think. That's where we call as headless commerce, right? This is nothing but your endless aisle in retail. कि कुछ भी करो, स्टोर के अंदर जाओ, बस बाहर आने से पहले पेमेंट करके जाने का, right? Because at the end of the day, what happens is, the more ease a customer walks into the store, roams around, figuring out. So basically, they call shopping is a guilty pleasure, right? The same way, we also ensure that you have that experience. But we are still not ahead in terms of tech, because there is a company in Scandinavia. Scandinavia is basically Norway and that area of Europe, wherein you walk into a store, right? I just walked into the store. I just picked an item. Let's talk about fashion and retail, because grocery तो है ही है, उसको कुछ आप टेस्ट भी नहीं कर पाओगे. Apple तो खरीदना है तो Apple ही खरीदना है, उसका कुछ भी नहीं सोचोगे, right? So think about the fashion and retail. So what you do, you walk into a store, you pick up a product, you don't have to go anywhere, you just stand in front of a smart mirror, say, this is what I picked in, it show you how it fits your body. And let's suppose you want to have a varied colors, you just check colors, size, body structure, everything, and then boom, you're out. Just pay on the go. So this is where we want to be in Indian retail, but unfortunately, with the size and the mass of people, we wouldn't be in that position, because unfortunately, Indian retail is more about large format stores. Large format in the sense like lifestyles, shop stop, pantaloons, etc. और अब ये सोचो ना, 100 लोग अगर जाएंगे, 100 लोग को try करने में time लगता है. So that's where we ensure that these technologies are given to a projected and premium brands. So for example, you walk into Armani or Boss. I think everyone would have gone to Phoenix Palladium, right? So in one section you have Boss, you have Emporio Armani, you have Gucci, you have Gaz, everywhere, right? Armani and all. So there also you have two different types of Armani. You have Armani Exchange and you have Emporio Armani, right? So the price differs. So now having that set of people only, so that's also cohort comes into the picture. So just imagine you walk into that type of stores where it is completely premium, So that there also in Indian retail we also see cohorts. Kisko kaun se price mein bechna hai, right? I cannot come and say, students, this is a 10,000 rupee shirt, you just buy it, right? Unless and until you have big daddies who have like loads of cash, you will buy it. Unfortunately, my dad is not the way, so I had to earn myself. So even I would think twice before I buy that 10,000 shirt, right? So but just imagine there are those set of people who can just literally just go buy in this way. So that's where the customer experience differs. So the customer experience is predominantly segregated along the pricing options of the brand in the Indian industry, and generalized format also in the entire world formats also. If you can spend $10,000 for buying one Louis Vuitton, so which means you will have that kind of an experience, right? And you know what? If you go to Phoenix Palladium Gucci store, you'll have to wait in line. So they say only on a prior appointment, or they'll have to give some time to get in. And the same way in Taj Colaba, you have a Louis Vuitton store. Just go in there. They will see you and say, sir, you're not allowed. Boli dete hain, sir. Nahi, sir, people are busy. So that's not racism, but they knew that they don't have to waste time, because eventually we only end up doing window shopping, so we cannot afford that. But there also it's a cohort. Just imagine the entire retail is a cohort based system, just like Venn diagram. उसमें कौन सी बड़ी बात है, वो ही mathematics ही use की. Now, based on where you are, which project you work, which brand you work, your entire vision, mission and services comes into the picture. What is that you as an individual can bring into the table, how it will add value to that specific IT team. Of course, TCS में आप रहोगे तो either you will work on Oracle, SAP or something like that. But eventually, if you come into a brand IT, that is what you will get into the picture. But my only sincere suggestion, do not join services company. My sincere suggestion, of course, will have to use your connects to see if they can get you into the brands, because that's where the actual technology is being used. Now, we'll take a step back. I'm a SAP house, in the sense I use SAP in my backend. So whatever transaction which happens out in the market, they all come in updates in the SAP, right? If I start, my consumers are across. I have consumers in Tata Click, I have consumers in Amazon, I have consumers in Agio, I have consumers in globusfashion.com, I have consumers across the world. If I start हर एक के साथ API connection करूँगा, then once again I have issues. So that's where you have order management systems, OMS. What does this OMS do is, my database is connected to this single OMSs, which will feed my entire data to across all the market. So that's a good way. People are making money with developing OMSs, guys. So there are companies like Find, F-I-N-D, which is 60%, 70% owned by Reliance. Harsh is a founder and very close friend. I can put in a word if you want to do your internships, okay? And we have Unicommerce is one of them. Then we have, what's the other one? Easy Ecom. Jitesh is a co-founder. We speak on a daily basis, because they all come to us as the data, what is that we are trying to develop, the use cases. And as a data fiduciaries, they come to us, try to understand what is that we are building so that they can build their products along. So that's where the entire ecosystem of retail is very closely guarded. Okay, so now just having an OMS which connects to my entire marketplaces. So that's one of a use case which is developed in India, first time, not abroad. Just imagine the way our technopreneurs are taking the world to. Have you ever thought Zomato will go unicorn? क्या करता था? मेनू ही तो देखा था. But they became unicorn only after they added delivery and they acquired Food Panda. I think Food Panda, right? I think Uber Eats acquired which one? Swiggy acquired Uber Eats, right? Swiggy acquired. So these, see how they build. You have multiple people who are doing the same set of business, but only they try to keep only two at the top, and it's like Shark Tank. You know, shark always eats the small fish. It's called acquisition model. So that's where the entire industry is moving towards to. But always remember, वो products भी बना है आप लोगों जैसे CSE students. So, but always remember, you also need to know the business. If you don't understand the business processes, you cannot build a product. It's an end-to-end. अगर आपके workflow में बीच में stop कर देगा तो क्या होएगा? The same way, you need to know the end-to-end process. That's where you can build the entire tech or the workflow. What do you call wireframes, right? Your wireframe should start and end. Algorithms maybe. Have you ever used Figma? Yes, you like it, right? So that shows the entire process. Business thought process है, उसी को ही आप replicate कर रहे हो tech में. And that is what I'm also saying once again. देखो, Figma बोलते ही सबका excitement आ ही गया. So that's where the entire world is going on. So whatever you build, always remember in retail, the key three elements are consumer, brand, and inventory. Have you heard the term ONDC? Open Network for Digital Commerce. You know what is UPI, right? It's an interface, or otherwise we call it as a protocol. Right? What does a protocol do? It simply follows the rules. So in order to have a UPI enabled, what are the two different parties? A beneficiary and a receiver, right? Beneficiary sends the money and the receiver receives it. आप चाहे फोन पे में हो, गूगल पे में हो, पेटीएम में हो, रुपए में हो या कहीं पर भी हो, फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, right? Let's suppose this guy has a phone pay and you have a Google Pay. You can send money, you can receive it. The same way you can send money, you can receive it. What happened? You can be in any damn country in the world, huh? But unfortunately, you can use the UPIs only inside Indian airspace. You cannot use it in US or anywhere. I tried that. Whilst I was in US, I tried to pay someone using UPI. I couldn't. So that's where the cards and all will have advantage to it. But what is it? It's a very simple way. Connecting two different people where a cash transaction is there. It's not a cash, basically it's a digitized cash, right? Instant at that moment of time. Just imagine if I'm a shopkeeper or I'm a brand person, I'm sitting in Mumbai, my headquarters is in Mumbai, I want to connect to someone in Sikkim or Manipur in the northeast, or maybe someone in Leh Ladakh or someone in Kanyakumari. Can I use Amazon and all always? Not necessarily. अगर उनके पास Amazon है या नहीं रहे, it's not necessary, right? I can show you I do not have any apps in my mobile except for Amazon because it's everything is in my wife's mobile, so I don't have to do it. But what she will do smartly, she will order everything and she will say pay by UPI and she will give me my UPI ID. She will say okay, आ गया notification, pay कर दो, and no, nothing will get down from her account. Huh? Everything has to go through my account. So, but just imagine if there is a brand and if there is a customer who is not on Amazon, how are they going to connect? And think that they are on Paytm. Okay? But brand to Paytm mein hai nahi. And that's where ONDC comes into the picture. It's an open network for digital commerce and hyperlocal commerce. You can be on PhonePe, you can be on Paytm, you can be in any of the apps. I'll be able to connect with my prospective consumer or a repeat customer. जैसे हमने UPI में देखा ना, one entity is connected to another entity. The same way, one brand can connect to any of the customers across all the apps. The same example, you're on PhonePe, you're on Google Pay. You can be on any platform, but you can still are able to do the transaction, right? The same way, I will be on a separate platform, you will be on a separate platform. I don't have to be on Amazon or Myntra to connect. You can be in any damn platform in this world. I know where is my customer. I'll just start sending out offers. Okay, what happens in Swiggy or Zomato? You have to subscribe. Your restaurant has to subscribe. In ONDC, you don't have to do that. In ONDC will show you a subscription, in the sense you have to fill in a form, but you don't have to pay them to make yourself available on the top. It's called search engine optimization, right? So you pay for the AdWords, but eventually only when you pay, based on the type of investment you do, the returns come in the top of the search bar. But here you don't have to do anything. You just have to subscribe yourself and you have to make yourself available, right? Eventually you will still have the accounts just like a backend, and you still have a front end. The front end are customers and restaurants have a backend. That is a dashboard, right? So, but still you need to have a basic tech, no payments, no AdWords, no nothing. Your entire search engine is optimized the way you provide services for. Just as you said, on-time delivery. You said, right? Based on your on-time delivery, the services have been rated, right? Based on the type of food, quality, hygiene, taste, that's been rated, right? Based on that rating, it is available on the search bar, or where the position of your availability of your product. So just imagine where our digital commerce is going through. I don't have to have said apps. Do you really think there is a proverb, information is wealth? What are this Amazon, Myntra, Flipkart, they are doing? Information, they have customers' information. They don't own inventory. They are just investing in tech, and they are redesigning the processes where I can connect with various people and the stickiness. That's what your recommendation says, right? That's where it is. That's where the world is going on. Just imagine, ONDC is launched by Indian government, first in the world, and the architects are none other than the same UPI architects who have developed it. Not Infosys. It's a independent body which are developing the entire tech, and it's purely API protocols. Pure APIs, no channels. So just imagine the logistics providers. So you have a lot of logistics providers, right? Delivery hai, you have Blue Darts, you have DTDCs, you have Porter.coms and etc. So now in ONDC, we as a customer has the capability to identify through which logistics provider you want the products. And the same way brands also have this capability. Okay, let's suppose if I, as a brand, what we do is we do a handshake agreement with, let's suppose, delivery. We say कि हमारा every order has to be fulfilled by delivery. Now what happens at any given point of time, if the delivery is lost, product will not be reaching, and at the same point of time it continuously happens. We have to stick to the agreement because हमने 2 साल के लिए sign कर दिया था. But now I have the flexibility to identify and figure out which will, based on my optimization of cost, I can identify my service provider. For example, standard retail standard says in industry, if the product is more than 650 rupees, brand will bear the cost of the logistics. If it is less than 650, consumer has to bear the cost. Now in that, what we are also saying is, if you go with delivery, you will have 100 rupees. If you go with Blue Dart, it will be 200 rupees. If you go with Porter, you will pay 50 rupees. So now it's up to you. We are giving that flexibility back to some given point of time. We cannot take the burden of all the costs, right? It has to be distributed. That's like JLT. कहीं पर भी जाओ, खाना ऑर्डर आया तो सब लोग ने split किया. We are paying, right? It's somewhere we have to cross integrate ourselves with the consumer thought process and the changing mindset. Now see, आज के date में previously when I used to study in my engineering, do you know how much my dad used to send me? 2000 rupees. वो 2000 में 500 रुपये बच भी जाता था. Okay? और उसको क्या करना है वो समझ में नहीं आता था. But आज के डेट में जब सोचो आपको 10,000 रुपया भी देने तो कम पड़ता है. Mindset has been changed altogether. And I'm talking about just 15 years back. I'm not talking too much. I'm talking on 2009, my last semester when I was writing my 8th final. उस time maybe they were spending me 2,000 rupees. It's okay. I mean, it was like more than sufficient. उस टाइम पे जो लोग 30,000 40,000 जो कमा रहे थे वो बोलते हैं ना अरे यार आधा सैलरी बच जाता है. So now with the changing trend, changing inflations, changing economics, demographics, everything, the entire process has changed, and that's where the commerce is also all moving about. See, retail is an industry vertical, but eventually we are all still thinking about the commerce. So that's where the entire commerce is moving all together. So now think about computers and commerce are gelled now. So I think in 10th standard they used to say, right, computer le lo ya commerce le lo. If 8th, 9th, 10th, if you're an ICSE student, ICSE, yeah. So they used to give you all the different choices. Even us time pe Hindi and state language. Right now it's up to you which one you wanted to take. So similarly, now just imagine you're in a world where everything is connected, interconnected. So now that's where, see, audience also comes into the picture. What you want is what we are giving in a different model, whether it's a ONDC, whether it's a Amazon, whether it's omni-channel experience, whether it's a store experience. हमें ये बस दिखाना है कि मेरा customer जहीं कहाँ पर भी है, wherever my customer is, I will be able to sell my goods. It's the simplest agenda of retail. Now, store as a point of service. So stores is what we are talking about, but the stores are replaced by all the marketplaces eventually. But always remember, as you said, you want to buy a product, but you cannot see the product online. If you want to try, fit and everything, you'll have to do. See, हम लड़कियां जैसे नहीं है. लड़कियां क्या करती है? बस ऑर्डर किया, एक बार पहना, सेल्फी निकाला और रिटर्न. I have seen in my house, okay. But my wife does that. बस ऑर्डर करती है, हो गया, साइज डिफरेंस, मतलब भेज दो. इतने रिटर्न्स आते हैं हमारे ग्लोबस में भी. We see a lot of returns when we analyze. All are ladies, mostly ladies. So the convenience, in the sense, the service is completely changed towards. Okay, so the product has to be first analyzed. So everywhere you will have an analyzing capacity. You'll have to see. Other, if you don't like the fit, if you don't like the color दिखने में तो हम लोग क्या करते हैं, ये लाइट डालो, वो लेंस लगाओ, एकदम चकाचक फोटो निकाला. बट वो सेट भी होना चाहिए ना. घर में जो लाइट्स रहते हैं वर्सेस स्टूडियो में जो लाइट्स रहते हैं, completely different, right? So store is equally important for you to see the quality product and how the fitment is all about, instead of having multiple logistics costs involved. So that's where store is also equally important for us to ensure that whatever the data comes in, we'll have to use machine language to understand. What is the best example for a machine language? Can I say recommendation engine? So whatever you see in Amazon, Flipkart, or even just cookies also. Cookies are also machine language. They understand the exact location and what is that you're browsing. And agar, let's suppose you are opening a Times of India e-paper and trying to read, and suddenly wahi cookie aata hai ki, you know, buy this one, buy that one. So cookie is also a machine language. They know where you are. They know what is your preference. And thanks to everyone that we are going to cookieless in next 1 year. So the entire cookie system will be closed in Indian industry as per the data protection rights. So that's where you'll have to start using machine language to come and understand the prediction, behavior, patterns to build the entire recommendation engines. Faster everything. हमें तो immediately चाहिए. जैसे अभी पैसा भेजा, मैंने रिसीव कर दिया, वैसे मेरे को प्रोडक्ट भी चाहिए immediately. तो हम वो भी सेल्फी निकाल के वो भी रिटर्न कर देते हैं. So that's why we are moving more faster with ONDC coming up with the options which is available in the market, identifying your own logistics providers, your own options, your own thought process. You know, the industry is all moving into a faster sense. Just like magic wand. मैंने ऐसे घुमाया, हो गया. But unfortunately, you still have to wait 48 hours to receive your product. But payment हम लोग पहले ले लेंगे as a brand. And new and reinvention of business models. That is nothing but, you know, store था, ऑनलाइन आ गया, अभी ओमनी चैनल आ गया, फिर ओएनडीसी आ गया. दिस इज नथिंग बट द एंटायर चेंज ऑफ द बिजनेस मॉडल्स. अभी पहले क्या करते थे हम, सोनी टीवी सेट मैक्स देते थे ना. अगर इफ यू डोंट टेक द पैकेज इन टाटा स्काई, यू विल नॉट गेट दैट. इफ यू डोंट टेक इट इन एयरटेल, यू विल नॉट गेट दैट. वो हिंदी एंटरटेनमेंट करके एक आता था. अभी क्या है, जहां भी जाओ ओपन करो डिज्नी हॉटस्टार या सोनी लिव, यू गेट एवरीथिंग. दैट्स द वे. हमने इतना इंश्योर किया है ब्रांड्स ने कि हमारा बंदा कुछ भी करे हमारे साथ ही रहे. It's like addiction. Remember, technology is addiction. The way we use it, the way we have to control it, it's purely dependent on person to person. There is no specific guidelines कि आप इतने घंटे यूज करो. पहले बोलते थे ना पढ़ाई के टाइम पे, आप 3 घंटे पढ़ाई करो, 2 घंटे टीवी देखो, ये सब. That's not the way it is. You have to control yourself. How you want to be in the entire commercial industry, especially online. At the end, हम लोग अगर नहीं रहे, कोई कुछ भी नहीं बिगाड़ सकता है, कोई कुछ उखाड़ भी नहीं सकता इंडस्ट्री में. So we are creating an ecosystem where the brand and the users are connected and the entire transaction happens in that place, enhancing the consumer journey and hyper personalization and instant gratification. Reviews by the users, you all, response by the brands, and rewards for the users by the brands. So we are keeping it closely connected, closely guarded. That's where we have to ensure the scalability. My APIs are always open. मैं दुनिया में कहीं पर भी जा सकता हूँ. I don't have to restrict myself to India, but that's where your front end and back end comes in the picture, where it's an OPEX model wherein the brands have to subscribe in order to get the information live from what is happening inside the store. At any given point of time, as I've taken an example, right? You like gray shirts and everything, you're in one section of a store. Based on your positioning inside a store, based on the geofencing model, personalization rewards come into the picture. Whatever you feel is what you get. It's like cognitive intelligence कि मैं यहाँ पर हूँ, मुझे इसी में rewards चाहिए. Generalized rewards मैं दूंगा तो क्या करेगा? शॉपर स्टॉप के अंदर जाओगे, वो बोलेगा कि 5,000 खरीदना है पर इसी ब्रांड्स में खरीदना है. वो तो मैसेज में नहीं लिखता है ना. This is hyper personalization of rewards based on your thought process, moods and references. And that's where our recommendation comes into the picture, the stickiness. Looking at the weather, looking at your preference, what you want to do, looking at what is the mood behavior, we will say that, you know, this is a place where you can go out for a coffee or a drink or maybe shopping or anywhere based on what you want to do. And but that comes with a radius and, you know, somewhere I have to stop. There is always a radius and diameter which has to be defined. Yeah, boundary has to be defined. And that's what we do. But just imagine you get instant gratification. Instantly. You don't have to wait for someone to send you a message. So I know my customer. कि तुम्हारा पूरा history क्या है? What is your purchase history? What is your taste? What is your preferences? What time do you shop? Where do you shop? And what is the reason for you to shop there rather than coming to a different store? On basis of all these KPIs, I'm connecting both the brands and consumers. So now the consumers have the right to decide where they want to go. Now the brands have the actual place and they know their customers and they provide services in that way. Am I holding any inventory here? What is that we are doing? Services. So inventory is only good if you are a brand selling goods, but if you are a tech, it's only services which you're selling. I'm also a part of developing this product wherein you just imagine you don't have to have multiple apps in your system or app in your mobiles. You just need this to browse, buy, written across all the channels of marketplace. So you don't need to have Amazon. Even for Prime also, for entertainment also, this is the only place. So you don't have to have Netflix, you don't need to have Sony Live, you don't have to have Z, you don't have to have anything. You just come here, browse any show, watch, and all you need to pay, instead of paying all the others, in a one single format, कि मैं 1,600 रुपया दे दिया आपको महीने में, आप मुझे सारा content दे दो. That's where it comes into the picture. And we also have a community inside, just like, how many of you know Reddit? It's for IT, right? Mostly close guarded community to discuss anything about tech, whether it's phishing, whether it's hacking, whether it's anti-hacking, you can still do that, right? The same way we are going to create a community for all the consumers, what they actually perceive about their products. In the sense, for example, we have something called mouthshut.com, right? They are still same like Zomato and Swiggy, because आपने पे किया आपका product आ जाएगा वहाँ पे. But here it's an open platform. There is nothing which needs to be costed. It's just you are only using it for the entertainment and the e-marketplace through a subscription model. So at the end, you have front end, you have back end. The same architecture, API, microservices, Flutter, React, and Python is what our entire tech stack.